Welcome, everybody. It's Sarah Blessing from Project Next, and we're doing a Get the Word Out with Will Colteryahn. I'm so grateful to have him on. He is running for Indiana State House. Why in the world would you run for this? Because it is hard. Let's find out about Will. He has a beautiful story. He has survived cancer. We're going to get into that. He is in social services, social work. We're going to find out all about Will, and basically I want you all to have hope for Indiana. We are so blessed that so many amazing people have stepped up to run for something in Indiana. We have filled the ballot with state Senate candidates. We've almost filled the ballot with state House. This hasn't happened since the 70s. This is very exciting. There's all these organizations working to try to help Indiana. Project Next is one of them. And just let's work together and get this done and save our state. Will, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so where are you running for State House? Can you tell me?
Yep. So I am running for House District 40, which is Avon and a part of Plainfield. So just west of Indianapolis. Basically, the Avon School District is my district.
That's good. I feel like Avon's got like really nice schools, public
You've
schools.
got very, very nice, large, very diverse schools too.
Yeah, I've been there for my son's winter percussion and like marching band type stuff. And I'm like, I always like it when we go there because wow, are those schools nice.
Yeah, marching band is really popular out here. So I've got two kids who are just sort of getting their foot in the door with that.
That's cute.
Yeah.
My
Very,
almost
very popular
16-year-old loves tenors, the drums, that the five
Oh,
of
yeah,
them.
yeah.
And he wanted to play them before he could pick it up, like pick
Uh-huh.
up the drums. He wasn't tall enough, and he wasn't like particularly strong when he started playing, and now he's like taller than me and all muscly and stuff.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
so glad I don't when he first started, I was just worried about him holding that heavy instrument.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, let's support public education so our children can continue to be in marching band because
Yep.
private schools and charter schools don't have them. And we
Right,
couldn't
right.
afford them if they did.
Yeah, and Avon's unique. We were one of the schools that had to pass a referendum. We had a special election in November, and I worked on that campaign pretty closely. And we were lucky that our community turned out and they did vote for that. So they voted to support public schools because, as you know, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners know, there has been lots of state level cuts. And so schools are forced to take drastic action. And like I said, Avon was one of those schools that did that. And we were very lucky that our community stepped up and voted yes to renew our referendum.
That's amazing. So you
Yeah.
were able to get more funding. We do not
Mhm.
have that down here. We are
Yeah.
really struggling in this county. Harrison County is a very large landmass county, and
Uh-huh.
we don't have good private schools or charter schools here.
Yeah.
A lot of parents, not a ton of, but some parents have their kids get out and they homeschool them
Yeah.
or they do some type of charter online school. And both of those options are just not the same as a quality public school education. And I'm very concerned
Yeah.
about this community. And that's really the main reason why I ran for State House last time.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm running for that and a gazillion other reasons
Sure. Yeah.
because Indiana not doing so great right now.
And I think for a lot of voters and even I think for a lot of the candidates, because a lot of them I think are sort of like in our age group, where I think a lot of us, it was really seeing the schools
Yeah.
and seeing what the cutting, the funding cuts have done and seeing all the great work the schools can do with more. I think that's actually what probably got a lot of people sort of more interested, especially in local politics.
Yeah, I
When
meet
you
a lot
realize
of
we're tied
people.
up in it.
I meet a lot of pissed off moms, especially
Yeah.
moms with kids that have special needs and
Yeah.
their needs are not being met anymore at the public schools.
Mhm.
Whereas I'm a former teacher. Whenever I first started teaching, they were being met.
Mhm.
Our schools were being funded in the early 2000s. And since then, they've just been slowly cut, cut, cut. And now
Yep.
we really cannot cut anymore.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
like we're divesting the money into other schools where parents are supposed to pay for
Yep.
those schools and now they don't have to pay. They get a voucher program like
Yep.
school choice, but it's mostly helping parents that can afford to pay for those schools.
And in a lot of those schools, so my background, like you mentioned, social services specifically. Actually, I do a lot of work with disability services, and those voucher programs and those charter schools, they may not come right out and say we won't accept a student with a disability, but they'll have a behavioral contract that when you sign it, what you're basically saying is my son or daughter won't have a disability, because a lot of, the most common disabilities are behavioral disorders. And so now, unfortunately, we have these charter schools that, because of these contracts these students are forced to sign, even if they got in, they wouldn't be able to sort of stay because of, having autism, ADD, ADHD. And so these public schools are not only getting underfunding, but they're sort of just in this really tough position. And so, yeah, like I said, our school did the referendum. And if we hadn't done it, I mean, our school pretty transparent about it. Next school year, we would have been short 150 teachers. We would have had to let go 150 teachers
Wow.
if we didn't pass this referendum.
That's
Um,
fascinating because
yeah.
we need to do something here to help. Like we just have hard time in our county just giving the teachers raises. Um, and like the state keeps, I met with the superintendent of North
Uh-huh.
Harrison Community Schools where my 3 kids go. And he was saying the state would keep adding on requirements.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
now the kids all have to take this class to graduate seniors, but we won't give you any more money to
Hmm.
teach this class. We won't give you money to hire a new teacher. So you're going to have to cut
Yeah.
other programs in order to fit this in. And we're also going to give you very little time to plan
Hmm.
it. And so the superintendent was just so stressed out trying to make it work. And then by the time you make it work, guess what? Another requirement
Yeah.
comes in. And it's just like, it's like the people in charge want our public schools to not do well. It's
Hmm.
like, well, they could help us and support us, but they're choosing to make it as hard as possible and then saying, look, our public schools aren't doing as great
Yeah.
as they should be. And it's like, no, you're the one doing it. You're the
Yeah.
one hurting them. And that's pissed me off so much that it made me
Uh-huh.
run for state house.
Well, it's even in our current legislative session, one of the bills up for debate was, do we keep do what do we do about cell phones in schools? Do we say they can't be in here at all? And some of the different mechanisms by which we would do that. But if you look, even though they were saying things like, okay, well, some of the proposals were students can bring a cell phone, but it needs to be in a locked device the school controls. Well, who's going to pay for that? The school's going to have to pay for that. Who's going to be liable whenever, inevitably a cell phone goes missing? The school's in charge of that. So again, it's placing these onerous restrictions on our public schools. Not to mention, if you look at the list of policies that the public schools have to follow, it's the size of a phone book. And I'm actually not against that. I like the idea that we have a lot of regulations because it's our kids. And, I've heard some people say, well, we should try to take out 10% of these regulations. And I always say, well, maybe, but think of it this way. Do you want to take out 10% of safety regulations for your car? You probably don't. They're probably there for a reason.
Yeah. Well,
The
maybe
real
we should
issue,
just look into it. Let's read
well, and
them
the
and
real
see if
issue
there's
is
some we
that
don't need.
the public schools one is this big, but the charter school one is this big.
Right.
They just don't have the same. It's one. Not only are they able now to receive public dollars, but they don't have the same transparency that our public schools have to have.
Right. And you don't realize that when you're frustrated with your public school and you're thinking of another option, you don't realize that it's not equal. It's not
Yeah.
the same.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are really good points. And it's really important to see how great public education is. That's why I
Hmm.
like to go to these indie schools and
Yeah.
see how well it's done.
Yep.
That and our schools are good. Like
Yeah.
my
Oh
North
yeah.
Harrison schools are good. My kids are getting a great education. The teachers are wonderful.
Yep.
I'm just seeing the teachers that I'm friends with beyond stressed out
Yeah.
at what the government is putting pressure on. Our local government, I don't know how it is for you, but our local government puts a lot of false things about public schools. A lot
Yeah.
of the people around here think wrong things like
Yeah.
litter boxes in classrooms, or they think
Yeah.
teachers are teaching about trans people and how kids can be trans. And I'm like, no, they're not.
Right.
None of the teachers here are doing that. That's fake propaganda
Yep.
they push it out to you to make you scared and to make
Yep.
you think we should tear down public schools. And
Yeah.
and I'm having to battle that, just those fake things constantly down
Yeah.
here to get people to support public education.
Yeah. It is the amount of people that think that. And then again, if you look at just how transparent schools are, I mean, I know. So I have 4 kids. So we have 2 different buildings. We have some kids in elementary, one, and our son is in the middle school. the amount of apps you have to download to check their grades, to email the teachers, but also that communication goes both ways. I hear from teachers all the time. I see grades all
Yep.
the time. There's no way they're sneaking something in that we're not hearing about.
Nope.
We get curriculum reviews sent to us. As a parent, if you want to know what's happening in your school, it's really not that hard to find out. And our schools, even, with my elementary schools kids, they're not embarrassed by me, so they still want me to come and have lunch with them, and our schools allow that. And I love it. And again, we're very fortunate that Avon, which 10, 15 years ago really was more or less a farm community, it's really grown into like a thriving, vibrant suburb. Our schools have 97 languages that are spoken in them
Wow,
with
that
our
is so
population.
beautiful and
And
also challenging. Beautiful and
there
challenging.
again, definitely an expense for the school, but I think they've done a really nice job promoting it. But one of the things that I've loved since my kids have started in this school is when I go and I have lunch with them, the amount of different lunches you see in the lunchroom. Where I grew up, we all just had PB&J, and on Fridays you bought the fish sandwich in the cafeteria. My kids are seeing these unique and different foods on a daily basis, or the names they come home and they say, "Oh, I was playing with this kid or that kid." And when I see the class pictures, it's really a nice way that I know that my kids are really being exposed to different cultures without ever leaving our community. And it's really a beautiful
That
thing.
is such a beautiful thing about public schools.
Hmm.
You are seeing your community.
Yep. Yeah.
It's not like the private schools
No,
that can
and the
say no
economic
to
diversity.
anybody. And you're seeing different economic. Yes, you're
Yep.
so right. And that is so beautiful. My kids see different things. And sometimes they come home and they'll say, this kid, I have twins in first grade, and they'll say, this kid really struggles and gets in trouble a lot. And we talk, well, maybe
Hmm.
let's talk about this kid. Maybe this kid has some struggles at home, or maybe this kid is struggling, and we talk it out and we're like, well, how could we help?
Right.
Instead of, what could you do? Because
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
struggle at home, my 7-year-olds get upset. What do we
Uh-huh.
do to when you
Yeah.
get upset? And it helps to open a conversation. So you're having these interesting diversity conversations.
Yeah.
On a side note, I just wonder, did you watch the Super Bowl halftime show with Bad Bunny?
I did with my kids. And it was really funny. I said to people, I don't know that they even noticed it wasn't in English. They were just so in love with the music and the sound and how vibrant of a show it was that for my kids, I don't think they even picked up that there would have been. And I don't think there was an overt political statement other than love is better than hate, which I don't
I
think is
know.
political. But
It wasn't a political statement. It was
no,
just
but I think they
people are
loved it.
wonderful.
And you're right. It looked like, and I couldn't help but think this, it looked like the kids they go to school with. It sounded
Oh.
like so many of the kids they go to school with.
That's so
Um,
beautiful. Yeah,
yeah,
I watched it and then I had my 3 kids watch it. I've watched it 3 times
it was great.
be
Yeah, I mean, I really
because
enjoyed
I
it.
need the, like, mental health booster. Like, it
Uh
was
huh.
so beautiful,
Yep.
and, yeah, I kinda liked that I didn't know what he was saying, but then I get snippets
Uh
on
huh.
the internet because now that I'm, like, watching it on the Super Bowl, my algorithm is showing me Bad Bunny stuff, and so I'll get snippets of what he actually said.
Yeah.
They'll translate it into English, and it's really beautiful and
Yeah.
amazing. Like, one part, he's looking at the camera, and he's like, "Believe in yourself.
Uh
Believe in
huh.
yourself more than you do. You can do more than you think." Like, he's
Yeah.
he's telling such beautiful, amazing messages, and I'm just we have so much hate online, and it's just, how can you hate that? Like,
Right. No, I don't. How do you look at a lot of people just having a great time singing and dancing and think
and he
anything
was
but? I
showing the
wish I was
culture.
there.
He was showing the culture. He
Yep.
was showing, how incredible the culture is. Yeah, I'll probably end up watching it again, and now I like Bad Bunny apparently, which I just
Yeah,
liked
I
him as a
know.
person. I thought he was, like, a really brave person
Yeah.
for singing and acting and doing all the things he did, but apparently now I like Bad Bunny, so
Yeah. Uh-huh.
okay, so I'm gonna pull up this picture.
Hmm.
I saw this post on Valentine's Day. I don't know a ton about you, and I
Yeah.
really like you. So consider me a friend now, and you have my cell number, so you can text me for
Sure.
stuff.
Of
And
course. Yeah.
we're in the state house race together, and we got to be together. But I saw this and thought this was really beautiful. You had cancer.
Yeah.
When was this? And this is your now wife,
So I've luckily I've been
Katie.
in remission. I've been in remission now for 15 years. So it's been a while, but I was young.
Okay.
So yeah, I was so that's my beautiful wife Katie when she was just my beautiful girlfriend Katie.
Aw.
Um and I met her in the summer, and that fall I started to get stomach aches, and I thought they were cramps. at that time I was going to the gym a lot more often. So I thought, oh, well, maybe I pulled a muscle. And my wife is a physician. And I mentioned some of my symptoms to her. And she said, oh, I think you should get that checked out. And I went and I got that checked out. And I do remember very clearly my physician did a study and she said, I can't tell you what it is, but I wouldn't expect good news if I were you.
Wow.
So I knew something was wrong. And so it turned out that I had testicular cancer. And then it had, unfortunately, it was one of the more rare instances and a little more aggressive. But like I said, I went through treatment. I chose chemotherapy.
And that's
And
why you lost your hair, the
that's why I
chemo?
lost my hair. Yeah, luckily it came back.
I'd say you look very adorable with no hair.
Well, you know what? I have a younger brother with curly red hair. So I was really nervous. That's what I was going to come back with.
Yeah, because your hair
Um,
changes. I've heard
yeah,
that.
sometimes it does. Yeah.
Sometimes it changes after chemo. Yeah.
But in looking back, it was again very early in mine and my wife's relationship. I would say it definitely brought us sort of into the real world a lot sooner than we would have. I think it strengthened us, and I think it really was an eye-opening experience for me because, like I said, I was young. I was just out of school a couple of years. I was in social work, and because of my financial situation, I wasn't able to stop working. I had to continue working all
So that
throughout.
you could have health insurance to
I could
pay
have
for
health
your
insurance,
treatment.
and bills start coming in as you're still going through treatment. Um, and treatment's long. You start with surgery, and then you have chemo, and then there's follow along. Um, and I had no choice but to work. But what I found was because I do social work, I found that when I help other people, I think it helps me. And I actually think that's true of the government. A government that helps other people is a stronger government. And so I think it's really sort of influenced a lot of what I've done. I also, when you're sick, um, you really do see the best in people, though, because the amount of people that want to support you, want to help you. I always tell this story. So my day before my first chemo, I was supposed to come in with a buzz cut because I had longer hair, and they said it's gonna fall out pretty quickly. And so I went to my normal barber shop to get my hair cut, and it was closed. I'd waited too long. So I walked down the street to this other one and I opened the door, and there was just a guy sweeping the floor. And he said, oh, I'm sorry, we're closed. And I went, oh, okay. And I don't know what it was, if it was just something how I said it, but he goes, you know what do you need? And I said, I just need a quick buzz cut. And so he sat me down, and he asked why I was in a buzz cut. I don't know why. I just said because I start chemo tomorrow. It just kind of, I wasn't really talking about it. I was nervous. It just kind of fell out of me. And he said to me, "You won't look good with a buzz cut. Let me make it shorter on the sides and really short on the top. We'll give you more of a style." He asked me what music I wanted to put on. He put on some music, and then when I got up to leave, he said, "I don't want your money. Come to me when you need another haircut and let me know you're okay."
That is so beautiful. And that's just a stranger.
Just a complete stranger. And what I sometimes say is too, that's a guy who worked as a barber. That's a service industry job. That's a sort of job that we say, oh, minimum wage is enough. That guy did more for me than, or as much for me as my entire treatment team did, of all these
Just
high
like a
paid
therapy session,
professionals.
honestly.
Yeah, and if that guy's calling is to be in the service industry and be of service to people, and you know what, he should be able to support himself with that job because he's good at it.
That's a
Yeah,
beautiful story. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. Do you remember? I'm 45. How old are you?
41.
Okay. Do you remember Tom Green when he got
Yeah,
testicular
yeah,
cancer? I
yeah,
just watched his documentary, which was very good, by the way. And I remember watching as a teenager his whole cancer story
yeah,
being played out on
yeah,
MTV.
yeah,
And he would say, like, I'm going to die. I'm going to buy a suit for my funeral. And he would go to the suit store and he'd say, yeah, I need a suit for my funeral. And everybody just thought it was a joke.
yeah,
But you watch his documentary. Have you seen it?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
he's like, "No, I really thought I was gonna die." And he did so much to help
yeah,
men to conquer and not be embarrassed by this
right,
cancer where you
yeah,
can die from it.
yeah,
And I thought that was like, I really like Tom Green. I think he's a really brave, interesting
yeah, yeah,
person.
yeah,
And I'm grateful he did that documentary because I had no idea watching it as a kid. I just thought,
yeah.
most people survive it. You're going to be okay. I didn't. Yeah, just to hear him say that. Did
And
it help you learning about Tom Green? Like, had done
it,
it before,
so it's
gone through?
funny. I was told, and again, my wife being the physician, she had like the best of both worlds because she could tell me, hey, statistically speaking, this is a very treatable cancer. You're going to be okay. but also because she's a physician, she knew, well, a million other things could occur that could make this worse. And I remember at one point being told something like they said something like, well, it has like a 90% successful rate that you'll go into remission. But I do remember thinking, and I'm usually a glass half full guy, but I still thought, well, that means I have a 10% higher chance of dying today than I did yesterday because I didn't know that I had this. And thinking, and I thought, I don't think I'd cross a street if someone told me crossing that street is there's a 10% chance you'll get hit by a car and die. I would take another street. And so even though like, yeah, it's a treatable one, it's still, you have those moments. And
And it's one thing when it's somebody else,
yeah,
but when it's yourself and your mortality, it's hard
yeah,
to just act like it's fine and you're mentally just fine. I
yeah,
mean, I'm
yeah,
really glad that you were with your wife. Here's a picture of you two together now. I completely understand you guys getting stronger and bonding with it.
yeah.
Last year, Will, I had a cancer scare. I
Oh,
had
I'm sorry.
thyroid. Like I would have had thyroid cancer, and it was right before the election, the 2024 election, when I was full on campaigning,
Uh-huh.
and I found out about it. My regular doctor just kept feeling right here, and I was like, "Why are you feeling there so long?" He's like, "This is a little big. Let's get this checked out." And he's like, 95% chance it's nothing. Nope. It kept coming and then I'd get a biopsy. Big chance it's nothing. Nope. It kept coming
Mhm.
back bad. So I got half my thyroid removed last December,
Oh, yeah.
and it was going to be cancer. You can't know for sure with a thyroid until you actually cut it out and get it tested.
Yeah.
So it was going to. So we stopped the cancer, and now I'm on medicine that I take every morning to regulate my thyroid.
Uh-huh.
And my husband my husband stepped up, and when he first heard about it, he stayed up all night and
Sure.
researched it.
Yeah.
And then I woke up the next morning, and he told me like a 5-minute condensed version of what he learned. And then he went with me to my doctor,
Yeah.
and my doctor repeated everything my husband told me.
Uh-huh.
And and then he wrote a song, like a really beautiful song,
Aw.
because he's a band, about the experience. And it definitely made our relationship
Yeah. Yeah.
stronger. And even though thyroid cancer, if you had to had to pick a cancer, it's a really good one to get. It still really
You
affected me.
still rather not get it. And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So
No,
I'm
I
just
mean, if the tables were turned and it was my wife that's sick, I don't even know how I'd function. I mean,
I would prefer
she's
it to be me. I would
yeah,
prefer it to be me.
she's
Yeah,
much
my husband
stronger
is
than me
so
for sure.
important. Yeah, I get that. I'm
Yeah.
very grateful to your wife and that you're okay, but also probably helped you to be braver now.
Mhm.
Like, you saw, like, you were in need, you were sick. Chemo makes you sick, right? It makes you
Yeah.
weak. You're still working. You
Mhm.
really needed the community. You needed a great barber to step up and just
Yep.
be there for you.
Yeah.
And so you kind of saw the importance of community, the importance of government
Mhm.
helping people when you're struggling the
Yeah.
most, and
Yep.
how that makes the community better, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, and again, I had already chosen social work as a field, but that really solidified it. And actually it really solidified because the sort of type of social work I was in, it's called supported employment, where we help people with disabilities find and keep jobs because employment is important. It's a very important facet of life and people with disabilities, they are the largest group that faces underemployment and unemployment. And having an illness and trying to work, because again, I was able to work, but I also knew there were times that, gosh, if I was interviewing right now, I don't know, somebody would hire me because I'm bald, I'm 20 pounds underweight, I'm gray and sickly looking, but I know what I can do. And so yeah, it really solidified my career choice. And
I
I've
didn't
done
realize
that.
that. So you going through your cancer journey helped you pick social work.
Yeah.
You help people with disabilities get jobs.
Yeah, so I've done that sort of. I've done all sort of boots on the ground social work, case management. So I've worked in jails and I've helped folks who were on their way out sort of get set up for reentry. I've worked in veterans homes. In social work, you kind of get to do a lot. And then I just kind of stumbled into this field of helping people find jobs, and I eventually worked my way up to my position now. I actually work in family social services, and I oversee a lot of the programs that do just that. So vocational rehabilitation is the state office that does that, and that's where I work. And we oversee a lot of the programs for high school students learning job skills. Yeah, we're under Department of Education, but we are our sort of own little entity. And yeah, I mean, And I think most people, when they think about it and they go in their community, they probably recognize that they're seeing people with disabilities working in their community. I don't know if they know there's sort of an industry behind that that
The
helps
support system
that
to
helps
help
do
them
that.
get that
Yeah.
job.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't think most people do know that. And I think for most people it gives us hope when
Mhm.
we see that. Like it's a really beautiful thing, and think what a mental health thing it is, instead of
Yeah.
somebody that has a disability and they're not working and they're stuck at home and they
Yeah.
feel maybe useless and they'd like to work, because most people want to work, want to have
Yeah.
a purpose.
100%. Yes.
So, yeah, it's really amazing. It kind of seems like you would be a perfect fit for the state house, because we really need to do a better job
We do.
at taking care of those that are struggling the most in this state.
Yeah. I would say right now the bulk of our supermajority and a lot of those administrators in sort of family social services, they look more at the services we do as line items on a budget, not as people that are deserving of help. Um, and it's disappointing from obviously a moral point of view. It's also really disappointing from a fiscal point of view, because whenever you're supporting someone getting a job, someone who maybe otherwise, like you said, would be stuck sitting at home, you're creating a taxpayer. You're putting a worker in the community that's filling a need for that community. It's not charity; it's investment into a
Right.
person.
Whatever money it costs to help that person get that job, you get it back
Pays back.
plus a lot extra
Yeah,
by having them
yeah.
working and
It
contributing
having
to being
someone.
paying Indiana state taxes.
Yep, having someone not working and relying on government assistance by versus having someone working and paying into the system. It's not even an even trade. It's one of the best investments you can make. And yeah, I don't think we have enough people that recognize that.
No, you know what's so frustrating? The way our government is ran now, nationally and statewide, is so short term. It's so like we need to see something right now.
Yep,
And that's not how government works. Government is slow. And when
yep,
you put like things in to help a community, it takes a few years to see the
yeah,
rewards, but it's definitely worth it. It's like, it's why you support public education,
yep,
because then you get these well-educated children turning
yeah,
into adults living in Indiana, working in the workplace and giving taxes,
yeah.
paying their taxes. So it frustrates me, and it's our fast 24-hour news, internet culture
Mhm.
problem, fear bait, rage bait things that we do to get attention. That's definitely a giant part of the problem. And if we can all kind of step back and say, I'm getting out of that cycle
Yeah.
of the rage fear thing, and I'm going to invest in people like you will, and organizations that support community,
Mhm.
so I'm just really glad listening to you and finding all this stuff about you, since again I didn't know a ton about you before you came on. It just seems like you're the perfect person to run.
Well,
Like,
thank
I'm
you.
really, really thankful you stepped up to run. What made you do this? You have a wife that's a doctor,
Mhm.
impressive, amazing. You have 4 children, you have a job in social work, you're helping. Why did you decide? Because this is hard. Why did you decide to run for state house?
So there were a few different reasons. One part of it actually, a large part of it actually was the last budget and the amount of services that were cut and the amount of local services that were cut. Also, a lot of the talk about having work requirements for Medicaid and recognizing that there was nobody there to dispute some of those claims. Right now, when they say that we don't have work requirements for people with Medicaid, 64% of Medicaid recipients are already working. So they already have that. Then they say, well, we need to do this to root out fraud. We don't have fraud in Medicaid in Indiana. I know we do the audits all the time. $0.001 or go out fraudulently. When it goes out fraudulently, it's usually a paperwork issue on Family Social Services fault. The other thing is people would point to what happened in Minnesota and they would say, well, look, there was fraud in Minnesota with their welfare. They're right. There was fraud in the year 2020.
This was during COVID when they
In
were
the height
giving
of
out
COVID,
COVID
there
money, and
money
it
was
was
given.
happening really fast.
And then it was caught. It was caught in 2021. It was investigated and they were charged in 2022. And now it's gone to trial and they were found guilty. So that's why it's in the news now. The system worked. They found the fraud, they stopped it, they investigated, people now being penalized. So there was a lot of just misinformation out there that I thought, well, because of my background, I think I could clear some of that up.
It just sounds like more fear. fear
Yeah, more here.
mongering, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. And I think that, again, being in social work for so long, one of the things we all do in social work is you tell people you need to meet people where they're at. You need to sort of get to their level. And I think that I do have this ability where I can talk to folks and I can say, I don't think you're hateful. I don't think you're foolish. I think that you were fooled. You were tricked into sort of falling for this. And of course you were tricked because it's coming from the president, it's coming from a lot of different politicians, and it's coming from a 24-hour news cycle meant to do all of that. So yeah, it's pretty easy to get tricked.
I
But I think
agree.
when you have a conversation with someone, and I've been lucky as I've gone out and I've talked to my neighbors, I've had plenty of people say to me, I've never voted Democrat. You'll be the first one I vote for. When people get a chance to actually talk and hear, yeah, I think they do. I think they want to vote. And then for me, again, I looked at my kids and I thought times are tough right now. It is a scary time. And I want them to know that when times were tough, mom and dad stepped up and tried to help. Um, we sort of have this thing at our house where sometimes they'll be looking to say, oh, that kid, my brother got more food than I did. And we'll sort of say, well, you shouldn't look to see if they got more, just look to make sure they have enough, and just sort of bringing that mentality of we need to look out for one another. We need to be there for each other. And if I'm going to ask that for my kids, I should ask it for myself. And to be frank, I was scared to run. And I thought, well, again, I wouldn't let fear be a reason for my kid not to do something. I'd want them to work through that. And so I thought, well, if I'm scared to run, maybe that's all the more reason to do it.
Yeah,
Um,
you're gonna grow so much this election cycle, and
mhm,
you're going to become an even more amazing version of yourself. This is my third race
yeah,
running, and every time it's really hard and it's really scary, and I push myself and I try new things and I talk to people I wouldn't have talked to if I weren't
yeah,
running, and then I get done and I grow.
yep,
And I really identify with the kids. I have to leave my 3 beautiful children at home in the evening with my husband a lot to go to events. I'm going to
yeah,
one tonight, and I
yeah,
kiss them goodbye, and I tell them, not every time, but I tell them, "I'm going because I'm trying to make this state
yeah,
better for you. I'm trying to make your schools better. I'm gonna
mhm,
miss you the whole time, but I'm doing this for you."
yeah,
And they get it. And, last week, my husband got a new job, and he travels now sometimes for work, so he was out of town. I had a Democrat meeting. I was leading a half an hour candidate training. So it was an hour and a half meeting. Took my 7-year-old
yeah,
twins with me,
yeah,
and I was like, "This'll be good. You can see what mommy does when I
yeah,
when I leave
yeah,
you." And
yeah,
they were so good, and they got to see me, and I thought that, I'm really glad that I got to
yeah,
take
yeah,
them. Yeah, but
yeah, that's great.
and I think that's why a lot of people are stepping up too, because we don't want our children to have this when they are our age. We
Yeah,
want things to be better. We cannot leave this like it is and let
no,
things continue to get worse.
no, I mean, my daughter has less rights than when my sister was born. I mean, I as a parent, you can't sort of just sit and abide by that. You have to do something. Um,
And we
and
don't want to
for some
move.
people, they can
We
run.
don't
And
want to
listen,
move to a blue state. We
right?
love Indiana.
Yeah,
I love my neighbors. I love my community. My family, my husband's family is here. We want to stay here.
yeah.
So what are we going to do? Are we just going to stay and let it get worse? Or are we going to like step up and try to make it better?
Well, and I also think it's fair to acknowledge that there is also it's a responsibility to run, but it's also a privilege. I mean, you have a husband who can be at home with the kids
You're
sometimes.
right. I'm so
Right? Some of
lucky.
us don't, and I think that's if you have the opportunity. So for me, I had said, 4 years ago, if the opportunity had presented itself, I don't know that I would have done it. My kids were younger. Now they're a little bit older. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's not just a responsibility, but it's a privilege, and it's expensive. It's a drain of resources. I mean, we all are obviously raising money, but still, for the candidates, it is
Yeah, we don't
it's
make any money, we lose money. It's like
yeah,
I don't track my gas and take it out of my
right.
campaign money.
No,
I'm
me neither.
using that
Right.
money for flyers or
Yep.
signs or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're right. And I am so privileged that I can afford it.
Yep.
But I look around, I live in Palmyra, and it's my neighbors struggle here.
Sure.
And
Yeah. Yeah. Mine too.
and my neighbors that I love, my
Mhm.
kids' friends that they play with. It's like, no, this is not right. Their lives shouldn't be so hard. I can do this. I will do it for them.
Yep. 100%.
You're
Yeah.
right. And I am so privileged. And when I get overwhelmed, which I do sometimes because I'm trying to do a lot, I just have to step back and count my blessings and
Yeah.
realize it is a privilege that I get to run. That's a
You
good
know, what
viewpoint.
one of the things I've said since I've started to run is I've had those moments where I've thought, what the hell am I doing? Like, or there's certainly having days where I thought, well, this was the biggest mistake of my life. But you usually those don't last long because something happens that sort of reminds me why I'm doing it. And what I've started to do is I will just save some of the emails and Facebook messages I get that are positive. And again, because I am speaking so frequently about issues facing the disability community, and that is a population that I don't think is often brought up
Oh, yeah.
when talking about this. The amount of support that I've received from these parents saying, we've been having this fight screaming into a vacuum for 30 years to finally have a candidate. And people that are finding me that live in Gary, I mean, all over, because once you start, that's a large support network, the people with disabilities. And once one politician mentions it, it's going to get out there that, oh my God, there's actually someone listening to this. But then those messages that I've received from some of those moms and dads, that's enough of a reason to run right there. I mean, you read just that, thank you so much. My son has all of these disabilities. We've always worried about his future. Knowing there's at least one person out there gives us hope. That's enough reason to run. I mean,
That's
I
really
don't know.
beautiful. Yeah, so the disability community across the country
Mhm,
can be watching Project Next, watching this episode right now. How can we help you? I know how hard it is to raise money for a state house race. $10 makes a sign, like
mhm,
$15 makes a shirt. $10 makes so many copies of your flyers to hand out to people in a
mhm.
parade. How could people help you with this campaign? Where can we go?
So I have a website and it's my name, willcolteryahn.com. And once you go on there, you get access to, you can link to my Facebook page, my Instagram, my Act Blue account. It's all right there. So it's just willcolteryahn.com. Um,
And your last name is Colteryahn. So
yes,
it is an interesting last name you
it
got there,
isn't
Will.
interesting, not easy for politics.
I feel
Um,
lucky mine's Sarah Blessing.
uh-huh, um,
When I met my husband, I was like, "Oh, I like your last name."
uh-huh. Um, so yeah, and you're right. Everything helps. And if you can't contribute, um, email me. Tell me your story. I want to lift up those issues.
And if you
Right
can't
now,
contribute financially, you can just share your stuff. You're on
share yourself.
Facebook, are you
Yep,
on Instagram?
yep, yep, yep.
And you're on TikTok?
I'm gonna be. I
You
have
okay.
been convinced to get
Yes,
on
when you get
TikTok.
on TikTok, text me your handle and I'll tag you of my
Okay.
stuff. Yes, so Facebook and Instagram, share his message.
Yeah. Right.
Just
Share your
letting
old
other
actors.
people know, especially if you are in Indiana, especially if you're in District 40 or in the
Mhm.
Indianapolis area. Yeah, sharing your stuff. It's so hard to fight for people's attention.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because I my intention was never to be like a politician. I don't have this grand plan of, oh, well, first
I
I'll
know.
get in the state house, right? It's like I want to
And
do
then I'll do
this.
this. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was really when I started just talking more about my job, my profession, that people started, I think, to pay a little bit more attention. And also it is a community that is being targeted more than I think they have in the past. When we talk about removing DEI initiatives, inclusion, that's real. I mean, working for the state of Indiana since Governor Braun, we've had to remove the words DEI from all of our language. When you're talking about supporting students with special needs, or you're talking about employment with people with disabilities, the word inclusion is just the word you use, and it's been used for decades. The fact that we have to remove that
Do you have to
from,
say now including? I mean, you have to like
I just said I'm not going to do it and said fire me. I mean, I don't know. It's
that
what
is
we do. We do inclusive
ridiculous.
practices for people with disabilities. It's just what we say. Um, you know, there's not a thesaurus big enough for me to figure out
And
a
I'm
new
just gonna
word.
tell you, most humans, most Hoosiers do not care if that word is being used.
No,
It's fear-mongering,
it's a
it's
hundred
the
percent
worst of
appealing
the
to a base.
worst that are believing this stuff. Most people, when you go out and talk to them, they wanna help special needs
They want
kids.
to help everyone, and they
Right.
definitely want to help people with disabilities. And yeah, so they're up against a lot right now. Also,
That
Todd
would be very
Rokita,
frustrating if I were you in that work. Like,
it
I would
is.
just be like, who is making these laws? Who is
It's
doing
insane.
this?
And then the other thing is Todd Rokita, our current attorney general, he is suing to overturn Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. What Section 504 was, it was one of the first civil rights acts for people with disabilities. In short, it says if you receive government funds, you have to be inclusive for people with disabilities. So what that law did was it said people with disabilities can work in the community, people with disabilities can go to public schools and be in classrooms, people with disabilities cannot be institutionalized. Todd Rokita in Indiana joined a lawsuit with 15 other states last year to overturn it. The reason they said they wanted to overturn it was because body dysmorphia and other trans-related issues were now included under the list of protected disabilities. Okay, that was annoying enough. Health and Human Services under Kennedy struck that language out. That's gone. Rokita's lawsuit, he has since restarted the lawsuit with 9 other states, including Texas, and they're still suing to overturn it. And I've reached out to his office multiple times, and you still get the form response of we are only opposed to the language related to body dysmorphia. When you follow back up and say that's gone, and in your new lawsuit you specifically say it's the inclusive practices that are unconstitutional. So not only are you after this, you're not even being honest to your constituents as to why you're opposing
So the
this.
trans issues out,
It's
and
gone.
they're still trying to take it down.
Now they're just saying, and what he will say in his response to me every time is, I'm in full support of the ADA. That's the Americans with Disabilities Act. So 504 is 1978, federal protections. ADA was all public places. The problem is ADA doesn't have any teeth. It's Section 504 that allows for things to be investigated. It allows for federal dollars to be withheld, thus forcing people like every public school, every hospital to follow these practices. When you overturn 504, that's whenever we can see the return of state institutions, especially in light of the cuts to Medicaid waiver, which are the thing that basically allows people with disabilities, including very significant disabilities, to live in their community by getting treated in their home. With that wait list and the overturning of 504, we very likely could see the return of state-run institutions. And if anyone wants to be horrified, look up the videos of what those institutions looked like until they were taken down. And this was well into the 80s. Children were forced to sleep in cribs that looked more like a cage. People that had cerebral palsy, so they had actually no sort of a developmental disability, but their speech was affected. They were shoved in rooms and never taught to talk or read. It's horrifying to think this could happen. And there are legislators already saying, well, maybe we should at least open up mental institutions again because our jails are too crowded. That's not the answer, and we know that. And again,
no, it's investing in communities,
Yeah.
supporting them, getting them jobs so that they can pay taxes and have purpose and be happy. When we help those that struggle and they have a better life, everybody has
It's
a
better for
better
everyone.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
That's really disgusting that is happening right now. I did not know about it, so I'm so glad
yeah,
you came on the show and
yeah.
explained it to me. I would love for you to help follow up what happens
Sure,
with
yeah,
this
yeah.
lawsuit. And do you know who's spending money on this lawsuit? Is this Todd Rokita's own money? Is this Indiana
Oh, I mean,
taxpayers?
he's doing it as the AG, so it's taxpayer
So
dollars.
Indiana tax-paying dollars are paying for this right now
Yeah.
instead of investing in making things better in our state.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really gross. That's
Yep.
really terrible.
Yeah.
And is he telling people about it? No, he's being
No,
misleading about it.
he's being misleading about it. And it was especially galling because just this past week, the Arc of Indiana, which is one of the largest disability advocacy organizations in the country, their Indiana chapter has one of their biggest events every year is they go to the State House and they have a Valentine's party with legislators. And the amount of legislators that were proud to take pictures and use these people as props while voting against their best interests on a daily basis. And the most disgusting of all was seeing Todd Rokita with his arms around these people. The very same day, his office responded to me saying, we understand the information we've given you isn't true. We hope he'll follow up with you soon. I haven't heard back from him.
That is gross. And that is That is typical. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not shocked. It's gross and it makes me upset, but I'm not shocked because I'm seeing it on the national level
Yeah.
too. Like
And
Erin Houchin, the congresswoman in District
yes. Yeah.
9, she'll do that. She'll smile and take pictures with people and then vote to take away their
Vote
rural
against them.
hospital
Right.
or whatever, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with Todd Rokita, he does have a son with a significant disability. And he will say that in every single response. That as a parent, and he's right, he is a parent. But what he's leaving out is disability and poverty oftentimes intersect. The majority of people with significant disabilities are also in poverty. He's not. He's
Right.
wealthy, he's
He's
well
wealthy
connected.
enough to pay for the services that his
Get
kid
whatever
needs.
his son will get every resource he needs, I'm sure of it. Many other Hoosiers won't.
Right. And
And
that's not fair and that's not
no,
right. And our government should be doing better. We just have to elect better people.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If we can stop the supermajority. So you're running for state house. There's
Mhm.
100 house seats. They're open every 2 years.
Yeah.
We have almost every Democrat on everyone. We could get there because we still have time to caucus people in for November. Let's say we flip at least four
Mhm.
at least four Republican state house seats turn to Democrat. Let's say we get you elected, which I think
Mhm.
is very possible, especially in the district that you're in.
Mhm.
What can that do to help Indiana?
So I think one of the first, so for one thing, breaking the supermajority is feasible. I think it's likely to happen.
I do too.
Doesn't mean we need to rest on our laurels.
Right.
We all need to get out there. We need to support candidates. And I think you're right. If you're a person who wants to support a candidate who's not in your district, be strategic about it. Look around, reach out and ask. There are some districts that are a little more of a toss up. Some that you think, maybe not this one, but the name is out there. Some, there are different
Yeah, like
levels.
say you're in Indy. Your Indy Democrats are gonna win. Pick
Yeah,
pick Will. Will's a little bit
right.
outside Indy. You have a
Yeah,
chance of winning.
yeah,
Invest in Will, for example,
right.
because you have a chance of winning.
Yeah,
Tiffany Stoner. That's
yeah.
someone I'm looking forward to having on in a few weeks. Tiffany
She's great.
Stoner barely lost.
Yeah,
It kind of seems like she lost because some clerk's office in the
yep,
in the counties didn't
yeah,
do a great job of counting the votes accurately. So she has a high chance of winning. That'd be a good one to invest in. So
yep,
you're saying pick candidates that have a
yeah.
good chance of
Yeah.
winning.
Yeah. And Tiffany actually, and she's too nice to brag about herself, so she may not say this. She's the big reason. She's why I'm running.
Are you serious?
I
That's so
spoke with her at an
amazing.
event and she did something I don't think most politicians do. She Facebook messaged me with her phone number and said, "Can you call me?" And I called her and she said, "You should run for office."
She was
And
so right because you are a fantastic candidate.
I'm not the only candidate she's done that for. She's done that for
Go,
several of us.
Tiffany. Well,
And
because
and
she wants
when
to
I
save the state. Like, look at the
she's
goal.
looking at things so much, and that's such a great example of what a Democrat should be. She's looking at things bigger than her. Because not only did she say you should run, she then called me every week to say, "What are you thinking? Can I give you any tips?" And hasn't stopped. There's a group of us that we have a sort of a text exchange with this group of us, and because she was so close and she's sort of so invested, she does get access to some information. She shares with the other candidates. Yeah, so she's a great
Go,
communication
Tiffany.
person.
She
Yeah,
seems amazing. I've never met her. I've just spoken with her today for the first time, and she seems incredible. To
yeah,
hear that just warms my heart because
yeah,
it's hard. It's hard to
yeah.
run for state house. There's not as much support from the Indiana Democrats as you would
Mm-mm.
think.
No,
But we were both talking before we started the show. We aren't told what to do, which is nice. We're not controlled in any
right,
way.
right,
Whereas
yeah,
we see the other side, the
yeah,
Indiana Republicans, they're like, you have these talking points, is this
yeah,
is what you say, and so you're very controlled and you can't be yourself.
hmm,
We get to be ourselves, but we also don't have a ton of support. So you kind of have to go out there and find the support. So
yeah,
so Tiffany's out there being support.
yeah, yeah. It's been
And
great. Yeah.
Indiana Rural Summit has done a good job.
Yes,
They're
they have.
more where my area. You're not is rural. I would assume you're
No, but
not
I'm
quite
part of
as
the
rural.
rural summit.
Are you? That's
Yep,
good.
yeah, I
Yeah.
see on those
So
calls, and yeah,
yeah,
yeah, they're
yeah.
great.
So the Indiana Rural Summit does a really good job of being support, and I'm really proud of them and
And you're right.
thankful for
They're
Michelle
they're
Hicks.
supportive without being controlling.
Right. They don't tell you what to do,
Yeah,
but if you need help, they help you and they give you guidance and they give you trainings if you want them. You don't
yeah,
have to go to them.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
nice. It's
It
a
is. It's
lot
really good.
more since you didn't run last time. I'm just letting you know the support is a lot stronger than last
That's what
time.
I've heard. Yeah.
And it was already building when I ran. Like I was
Mhm.
getting it, but it's just like built a lot more. So I just want people to have hope for Indiana
And
because
I think there's reason to be hopeful. I really do. I think that I do. I think we're going to flip a lot of seats. And I think that if nothing else, if we break the supermajority, which I think we will, and listen, I don't think that, who knows, but I don't think Indiana is going to become a bastion of blue Democrats in November. But I think we will flip enough seats where, if nothing else, the Braun administration will have real opposition. But I also think we have enough people who will say, we were not elected to just be opposition. We were elected to help our neighbors, and we will do that. And I think one of the first things we will do is, most of us, when we win, it'll be a budget year, and we will be able to say, we need to look at this last budget and we need to reevaluate this, because that last budget has taken $740 million out of local communities. And they've done that by giving giant tax write-offs to the largest corporations that are oftentimes national corporations, in Indiana. I think if we say we are no longer going to allow these businesses to write off all of this money, all of this profit, and we put that back into our economy, we can fund our schools, we can fund our services. And I think that should really be, sort of the unifying plan, is that we need to sort of get control of the purse again in the state house. And we need to say, it's time these businesses invest. Where I live in Avon, it is a growing community. We have new developments going up all the time. We have those TIF districts because people want to build and they
what's
want
a
to
TIF district? What's that mean?
tax incremental funding. So basically, instead of the tax dollars from like a business going into the community, it goes into a fund that developers then use to sort of attract new other developers. So it doesn't go into the school. That's why,
Huh.
like, our school needed the referendum. So
Oh.
when you get rid of those sort of things or make it more difficult, and just sort of say that if you're a business, you should be investing in your community. If you're getting my neighbors as both your customers and your workforce, that's incentive enough to come to my district. We don't need to also then tell you you can write off 20% of your earnings. We don't also need to say, well, we will value your property as though it's still empty farmland instead of a giant Amazon distribution center. They have enough money. They can
Yeah.
invest in the community.
Yeah.
One of the things I keep telling
Amazon's
people,
doing fine.
they're
Hoosiers?
doing just fine.
Not,
They
no.
can afford it.
Yeah.
Um, and they'll want to come out here because, again, there are hardworking people. There are kind, welcoming people in these areas that will welcome you. They will be loyal customers. That's enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That's such a good message. And it really resonates with everybody because we're all
Mm.
feeling the hurt. Like I just want to talk about the super majority and why it hurts so bad. Mike Braun has said some things that make sense, that sound good. Like
Yeah.
he has shown concern about our data center
Yeah.
problem. However, I was hopeful. I was like, oh, Mike Braun is showing that we need to do something about data centers. The Democrats pumped out a whole bunch of legislation to try to help regulate data centers because they're popping up everywhere in
Yeah.
our state. They're hurting our water, our air pollution.
Yeah.
They're not bringing jobs, they're not bringing money, and they're raising our energy bills. And he was concerned, well, we got all these bills that they pushed out a few weeks ago, and Republican supermajority shut every single one of them down.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
even though our Republican governor supported doing something, because we have so many
Yeah.
Republicans in the state house and the state senate, not one thing is going to be passed to help us with our data center problem.
Yeah.
And that shows why you running is so important,
Mhm.
because if we can flip and stop the supermajority, we could actually like
It,
try to push some things
yeah.
that
Yeah.
would
Well,
actually help
and
us.
the guy that I'm running against, when I look at his vote record and then I compare it to his campaign contributions, I don't believe people give money unless they think you're going to do something for them or you've done something for them. And so when you look and you see, this same guy who seems very pro-develop, oh, the National Association of Realtors, a very pro-development PAC, donates to him. Oh, Duke Energy donates to him. When you look at that, and
Mine
then you look
too.
at the voting
My
record,
opponent too.
yeah,
He's
it's
retiring this
hard
year, but
not
yeah.
to think there's a connection. When I don't know about you, but I know most of us Democrats, I'm making it very clear, I'm not going to accept any money from an industry backed PAC.
Yeah,
Um,
me either. Yeah.
we're a people
And
power campaign.
opensecrets.org, everybody.
Yep.
You can go to opensecrets.org. We haven't had to do a finance thing, or I haven't had to do one yet. But once we file our papers, you all can see who's
Yeah.
contributing. You can look at all the past elections and see. You can look at my past election and
Yep.
see all the people that
Yeah.
donated to my campaign and all that donated to Karen Engelman. And you will see the realtors won, the
Yep.
Duke won. They're all
And
doing it to the same people to get
and
them to, yeah.
if you're a person checking it, don't trust the name of the PAC, because I'll tell you, you'll see names like, Center for Quality Education. You think, well, that sure sounds nice.
Yeah,
And you
that
look it up
sounds
and you realize,
nice.
oh, they're pro charter schools and they're
They're
pro, you
destroying
know,
public education.
yeah, whenever you actually look up what some of these places are. And again, you look at it and you'll have candidates that will say, well, I'm not really on the education subcommittee. I just kind of vote how people tell me. And and then you look and you think, well, that's funny because you took $10,000 from a PAC that recognized that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I Open Ticket Talk. It's a great one, and it's a really good resource
I remember
for any
my
voter.
husband checking it before the election and looking up on Karen Engelman and coming up like shaking mad.
Yeah, yeah.
It is
When
so upsetting. What also was upsetting to me, Will, was how little it took for them to be bought. It's like
I know,
$1,000.
it's not a huge
$1,000 and they're
amount of money.
destroying us. They're hurting all the schools in the state for $1,000. I'm like, what? You know?
Yeah, yeah. I know. And then you'll even see sometimes, like I had, like there was a few weeks ago, there was that bill to basically, it was in short, it was to allow the development of data centers on farmland that were deemed whatever the soil was not appropriate. And my opponent voted yes on that. He voted yes on that the same time, the same day that people in my district were at a town council meeting screaming about the possibility of there being a new data center. So we know how people felt. And then that bill, because of some public pressure, every now and then that will happen, right? There'll be public pressure and they'll sort of concede and they'll go back to the drawing board. A lot of times those things come back with a different name. They sneak into a different bill. But also, do you all really want to have to watch your legislators like a hawk to make sure they were going to vote in your best interest? Wouldn't it be
And we
nice?
have to.
Well,
We have to watch
trust
them like
me,
a hot, and we can maybe stop the worst of the worst,
maybe
but they're
stop it.
still passing tons of
Yeah,
terrible stuff.
yeah,
Yeah. It is
yeah.
upsetting. If we could just get better people like
Hmm.
Will, like Tiffany,
Yep,
I'm running, tons
yep.
of good people running, we can make it so we don't have to think that
To,
they have our worst interests at
yeah,
heart.
I mean, to borrow a phrase, we can make politics boring again, where
Yeah,
you
let's
don't
make
have to
politics boring.
follow it
Wouldn't that be
24/7.
great? I mean, I'm so thankful that Tiffany got you to run. You're fantastic.
Thank
I
you.
would
Yeah.
love to do more stuff with you on
Sure.
Project
Yeah.
Next.
Love
So
to.
just make sure to message me, especially if you're like at a cool event and you'd like to
Okay.
explain it and show it. I would love to use Project Next anyway to try to save Indiana.
Thank
If
you.
you haven't heard of Hoosier Action, have you heard of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hoosier
Yeah.
Action's great. Um, I I think they might like have some stuff on special education. They would be worth connecting with them, but they're more down here in my area. I'm really
Okay.
thankful
It
we
sounds
have
great.
them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to do more stuff with Hoosier Action coming up
Yeah.
because I
Listen, we're all in
really
this
like
together.
them.
Like, I don't think it matters what district people are in.
We've
Get
got
the
Mad
information out there. That's
Voters.
important.
We've got Do Something Southern Indiana down here. We've got tons of indivisible groups. We have your
Yeah.
Democratic parties. We have Indiana Rural Summit. We have so much support
Hmm.
to help get better people elected.
Yeah.
We just have to vote in the primary May 5th. I
Yep.
don't know if you know this, but I have two people running against me in the primary. So I got to
Oh,
win my
okay.
primary.
Yeah.
Um, and then we have the election. Is it November 3rd? I think it's
Hmm.
November 3rd. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's not a presidential year. So that's like good for us, I would think. I think people that really care are going to come out and
Yeah.
vote. We have a huge chance of stopping this supermajority.
I think so
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Well, you're a lovely person.
Thank you. Yeah. You
Big
too.
big hugs to your wife
Of
and to
course.
your
Yeah. Always.
children. Thank you for running and just stay in touch and let me know if I can help with anything, if we can use Project
Sure.
Next. Please share this episode, everybody. Send it to someone who would like to know more about Will or how to help Indiana. This is also a podcast on Apple and Spotify. And then our Substack has been really growing lately. Our Substack, you can go to our website, Project Next Indiana, and you can type in your email and you'll get all of our shows emailed to you with a little summary of what they're about. And that's an easy way if you don't want to rely on the algorithm to see our shows. And we're also a YouTube channel. We could use as many subscribers as possible. We're trying to get 1,000. I think we have 935.
Oh, so
So
close.
we are getting to that 1,000. So if anybody can help subscribe to the YouTube channel, thank you so much. We are growing. We're at a few million views now. So we're
That's
getting
awesome.
there. But we could also use your help because we're an independent media source trying to save the state and unite the country. No big deal, nothing hard, you know. We didn't tackle anything hard. And then there'll be no more shows coming this week. I know last week I only had one show, but got more this week. And just thank you so much, Will. And I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Is there anything you want to say before we close?
No, thank you very much. I really appreciate it, Sarah.
Yeah, I'm really just so glad you're running. You seem so extremely well qualified, so much more qualified than a lot of people in that job right now. You know so much about education, social services, helping those with disabilities. It's just what a beautiful story. So I feel more hope just listening to your
Well, great.
to your
And
journey.
thank you for not only running, but for all you do to get the word out for all of us other candidates. Because, you know, we don't have a very big left wing media ecosystem, and you're filling a great spot. So thank you so much for all you
Oh,
do.
thanks for saying that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're on the radio on the Snide Report has a radio station.
Yeah.
So this will be out there tonight on the 6 to 7 o'clock slot. So we're really working together with the media groups around the state to get the message out. You know, one of the reasons we started Project Next, Will, is because I tried to get on the news
Uh huh.
when a high school student in my community was shot, was
Oh,
murdered
geez.
because of our terrible gun laws. And I went to a news person and I got on the news. I said it. And then I got Tim Peck on the news. And then I waited. Editor cut us. We didn't get
Oh,
on. We're too
man.
controversial because we're running for office. And I was like, if they're not going to put me on the news, I'll freaking make my own news.
There you
I'm
go.
like,
Perfect.
so look at me now.
Look what they've done. They created a monster.
Look what they've done. That's right. Get
Yeah.
the truth out there. Yeah.
Well, thank
But
you
yeah.
so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everybody. Thanks for all
Take
you
care.
do. Talk to you all later.
Bye.